Well, Razorback fans, we all know what the most important position is on the football field, and it is the quarterback position, not only for the starter, but for the backups. Is Arkansas going to be better at that position this upcoming football season? We will talk about it today on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Thursday as we are getting closer to the weekend. We're going to talk a little bit about the NBA draft and the situation that Arkansas and John Calipari found themselves in for this upcoming year, as well as getting to some interesting things from the GM, because we actually get to hear from him today for Arkansas, Remy Cofield. So we'll talk about some of the questions, some of the things that I want to hear from him. But I wanted to do today's podcast and talking about, in football and certain position groups and everything, because I know that there's some fascination of pretty much every position group on whether or not it's going to be better than what it was a year ago, or worse, or the same. You have a lot of new faces across the board, offensively and defensively, and so it's a matter of, okay, well, how's this look? Is it actually better? Is it going to be in good shape? Do you feel confident with it? And I don't think there's any other place to really start than quarterback, because, as we all know, quarterback is the most important position on the football field. We know that Arkansas had a really nice year last season from Taylen Green, and he is back this season. We know that Bobby Petrino is the offensive coordinator, the quarterback's coach, once again for the second year. We know that the situation with Madden, he's no longer on the team. We know the backup situation with KJ Jackson. So, I just want to go through it all and looking at these particular players and comparing it to what it was a year ago, because obviously your starter's the same, but your backup is different. And, the situation's different with the offense in general. So we'll just start with the starter, Taylen Green. I mean, he's the guy. Taylen Green, I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say that he is going to be representing Arkansas at the SEC Media Days here in just a few weeks. Hasn't been officially announced, but considering that he was there last year for Arkansas, it's probably going to happen that he's going to be there again this year. And that's fine. I am a big fan of Taylen Green. I was last season, even though he had some criticisms. But to me, I love his upside. And I've always loved his upside. I love his leadership ability. I love his approach to the game. I love the fact that he has such a athleticism to him, but also very coachable. He's a quintessential Bobby Petrino quarterback. Doesn't mean that he is going to be a Lamar Jackson or a Ryan Mallett or anything like that, but Petrino wanted this kid for a reason. And to me, what has really stood out about Taylen Green, and it's what's probably one of the most important things for a Bobby Petrino coach quarterback, is that you have to have somebody that is coachable, that can handle pressure, that can handle criticisms, that can handle also a very direct but very complicated offensive schemes. It's not to make it too complicated, but it's there to really make sure that everyone's on the same page, but especially the offense coordinator and the quarterback with Taylen Green. And last year, you think about it, he had, I don't know what people were expecting. I know what I was expecting, and to me, he surpassed my expectations. He had 3,154 passing yards last year, 602 rushing yards, with 23 touchdowns total. He started every game at the quarterback position, and the amount of total yardage he had, 3,756, was good for the second most in a single season behind Ryan Mallett, rest in peace, who had 3,795 yards. So just a little bit short of that in 2010. Granted, Ryan Mallett threw for 36 touchdowns, which wasn't too bad. But still, had a really nice year, finished seventh with the seventh 3,000-yard passing season in history. And so just, again, a quintessential type of year for Taylen Green. He was the SEC Player of the Week back on October 28th of 2024. He was also on the Davey O'Brien Award Grade 8 list, Manning Award Star of the Week list, Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award Watch list, and also the AutoZone Liberty Bowl MVP. So, a lot of people may look at that and say, okay, well, that doesn't matter. It was last year. It's a completely different year, and you're right. But the thing is that you have to look at what he's able to provide you at that particular position for what he's needing to do. I don't think anybody should expect Taylen Green to be a Heisman Trophy winner. Sure, I would love for him to be. You would love for him to be. We'd love to have the discussion of Taylen Green playing for Heisman and having that type of campaign, because if he does, then Arkansas is having a really good year. But I don't think that's the fair expectation of him. I want to see him improve from what he was a year ago. I want to see his numbers go up slightly. I want to see him take care of the ball a lot more effectively. That was, without a question, his biggest issue. The amount of interceptions that he threw, and also the amount of issues that because that's what's funny about the article here is that it says 23 touchdowns, but it doesn't say like passing and rushing. It was like all combined. So he had a good amount of rushing touchdowns in there too. And so you got to be able to protect the ball. You got to be able to make good decisions, and that's what I'm hoping that after another year of Bobby Petrino and the coaching of the offense and the quarterbacks, that he's going to be even better. The biggest question that I have, of course, is who's he going to be throwing to, because you have nothing but new faces around there. And I think it's going to be pretty much evident for each one of these quarterbacks of what it's going to look like in the wide receiver position, which we'll talk about as the summer goes on, and we'll dive into it. But either way, I really like Taylen Green. I like what he brings to the table. I think that when, let's just say, for instance, that the Arkansas offense and the offensive pieces surrounding him aren't as good, or maybe aren't as effective, to me, that is something that you can overcome because of the playmaking ability that Taylen Green has with his legs. He's got to stay healthy, first and foremost. He's got to avoid contact as much as possible, for sure. But he is able to do a lot of different things that a lot of quarterbacks can't. He has a serious height. He's 6'6", 225 pounds. And all the things mixed together is like, if I told you that he threw an 80-yard pass for a touchdown, you wouldn't be surprised. If I told you that he rushed for 80 yards for a touchdown, you wouldn't be surprised. If I told you that he had a game where he had 5 touchdown throws in a game like it, you wouldn't be surprised, because of just how versatile he is. So you got a great starting quarterback. Is he going to be perfect? No, I don't think the expectation should be that he's perfect. Could he be the best quarterback in the SEC next year? Probably not. But I think a reasonable way of looking at him is saying, hey, can you be a top 5 quarterback in the SEC, a top 7? Can you be in the top half of the quarterbacks in the SEC? I think absolutely he can. I think he should be considered in that realm. And if somebody doesn't, then they're probably just finding reasons not to care for him. But either way, after Taylen Green, which, let's be honest, you don't want to see Taylen Green hurt. I don't want to see Taylen Green hurt. But it's football. And pretty much every single team at some point in time, no matter who the quarterback is, their starting quarterback is going to get injured, going to get banged up, where it's either for an entire season, heaven forbid, or it's for just a play or for a game, series, whatever. The backup quarterback's going to have to play. And Arkansas is not having Malachi Singleton anymore. They got KJ Jackson, who, I'll be honest, he's another quarterback I liked from the jump. He's a redshirt freshman. He redshirted last year. And when we got to see him in those practices in spring, it was like you could tell he has it. He was young. He was raw, but he has that factor. He has a cannon for an arm. He's 6'4", 220 pounds. He was just commanding. And I think that his versatility with his legs and everything, he may be a little bit bulkier than what Taylen Green is. But those are the types of things that I feel like make me feel comfortable, at least, if it ever comes to where KJ Jackson has to come into the game. Last year when he had Malachi Singleton, you saw him in the Tennessee game and everything, and he made some really good plays. And I like Malachi Singleton. It's nothing against him. But I also looked at him as, okay, well, is there something that Malachi Singleton did last year that KJ Jackson couldn't do this year? My answer to that is no. So when you're establishing the quarterback position, when you're establishing the quarterback groups, that's exactly what you want to have. That's exactly what you want it to look like is the starter because you've seen him already before and you feel good or at least excited about his backup. This isn't going to be a situation where you have 5 different quarterbacks and none of them are any good. It's kind of like what was with the Chad Morris era. It's not going to be anything like that. You're going to have a solid base, a solid group, and guys that are really good. And they just got to be able to put it together. I know it's easier said than done, but you have those guys. And then after that, you got Grayson Wilson, who is the true freshman out of North Little Rock and also went to Conway High School. He's a 6'3", 211. And you also have Trevor Jackson, who is the transfer out of Florida State, who is a former 4-star player. And he's a redshirt freshman, 6'3", 187. He was the one that kind of replaced Madden. So the point is that you have one bona fide veteran seasoned quarterback in Taylen Green. And then after him, you got 3 young pups, freshmen or redshirt freshmen, guys that really haven't played much or at all for their respective teams and for what they did last season. I think, honestly, they're in a better spot. I really do. Some of you may look at me like I'm crazy because you're like, oh, you're downplaying Malachi Singleton. I'm not downplaying him. I am just looking at it from, you have guys that were highly regarded and were highly respected in their own right, and they're also very similar too. Size, capabilities, athleticism. And why I feel like that's important is because I remember Bobby Petrino, when he was at Arkansas before, he had Brian Mallett, Tyler Wilson, and Brandon Mitchell. Those were the 3 quarterbacks, all really great quarterbacks. But what he did is he had different playbooks for each one of them because they had different skill sets. They had different strengths. They had different weaknesses and all that. Now, could that be the case with these guys? Of course. But when it comes to their size, like Ryan Mallett was a different physical quarterback than Brandon Mitchell. You know what I'm saying? So you had to have different setups with different playbooks and different positions that put them in to succeed. So a lot of these guys are very similar. They have arm strength. They have athleticism. They're big guys, 6'3", 6'4", 6'6". I think that that's really going to help out for Arkansas, and I think that that's why, honestly, they're going to be in a better position this year. So how about that? Some positivity in your tea here today when it comes to Razorback football. We'll talk about the NBA draft, John Calipari and the Razorbacks coming up next. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, ever wish that managing your money felt a little bit easier? Well, with Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over all of your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building up your wealth as well. All the different finances that you have and that you go through and that you want to make sure as you're on top of it, you want to be able to have some help. And there's no better place, there's no better app to use than it's Monarch Money. So take control of your finances by using Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for half off your first year. All right, Razorback guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready is the next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and to boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in around 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when in the moment is feeling right. If traditional options haven't worked, Rugiet might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. You can even read real customer reviews on their site, and it's helping a lot of people feel a lot more confident and present in that moment. So head to rugiet.com/lockedoncollege and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for 15% off today. That's rugiet.com/lockedoncollege and use promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rugiet website for full safety information. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I know that there's been, at least on my end, some questions about the general manager, Remy Cofield, for Arkansas. He was hired months ago, and it was something that had been needed. And I was one of those that was a little bit frustrated in how long it took. I remember having Brandon Marcello of CBS Sports on my show on Inside Arkansas Live, and he was even a little surprised too. He's like, why do they not have one? Everybody else has one. I agree. Well, they hired him, and that was it. Like, we never heard anything about Remy Cofield. Didn't know anything about him. He hasn't tweeted anything. He hasn't shown up anywhere. There was no message for Razorback fans. You know, the only thing that we really kind of got was from Sam Pittman in his press conference where he vaguely mentioned what he's going to do. But we really had no idea. We just knew who he was. He came from the Boston Celtics, and he's going to handle the general manager duties. Well, luckily today, for the first time, we get to hear from Remy Cofield. He's meeting with the media. There's going to be a Zoom conference. I really wish I could ask questions, but we all know that I'm not allowed to. But if I could, there was just so many questions that I would love to ask him. I would love to ask just, first off, like, what is your focus? What's your number one priority? Is it going to be about contracts? Is it going to be just about managing budgets? Is it going to be about, talking with players and talking with agents? Like, what is the number one priority? What's the number one goal that you have as the general manager of Razorback sports, which I still think it's going to be more so on Razorback football. So that would be the first thing. Another thing that I really hope that he discusses is just the situation Arkansas finds themselves in. I would hope that over the time period that we have not had a chance to hear from him, it's been him getting his feet wet and getting into the minutia of everything and getting an understanding of the Razorback football situation and the athletic department situation, revenue sharing, all of that, and being like, all right, here's what I got. Here's the pot. Here's what we can do. Here's how we can make it work. Let's see how this goes. And then he's going to come in and meet with the media and say, all right, this is what we're working with. I want him to be honest, but I also know that there's not going to be everything that he's going to say and relay to all of us. But I want to know. I want to know what the situation in Arkansas is, because from my understanding, it's not been good. It's not been a good situation for funding, and I think it's been pretty obvious. Is he somebody that's going to change that and help remedy that for Razorback football specifically? But I think the most important thing that I want to hear from him is his confidence, is his tone, is his approach. Now, I've said many times before, you can just lie to me and I'll believe it, because that's all we have to go on. And if it's something in the public eye and it's about the perception of everything, you need to tell the truth, but you also want to make sure everyone sees that, hey, I feel great about this situation. I feel awesome about this situation. Like, you want to have that. But if he goes into this press conference, which I don't think he will, but if he goes into this press conference vague, being very vague with the questions being asked, being very boring, very lacking energy, he's just kind of like, yeah, this is something we got to work on and fix. If it's a lot of feelings of, oh boy, this guy walked into a bad situation and you can tell he already doesn't feel good about it, if that comes across, then they're in trouble, man. They're really in trouble. I think it's really important for Remy Cofield, if assuming that this is all his doing, he's really involved, he's really a part of it, he's a big-time player in all of this, it is extremely important for him to come out and be like, hey, We got this. We're doing this. I'm excited about this aspect of it. I know what we can accomplish. I know we can get this, and this is what it's going to take. And I feel great about this. Like, I want to hear somebody who really feels good about it. Because let's be honest, in the football program and even in the NIL, there has not been anything that has ever come across that people are like, I feel great. Yurachek has not ever given me any sort of vibes that he feels great about the NIL situation and all that. Sam Pittman definitely has not done that. Coaches have not done that. Players haven't really done that. Everybody involved really haven't just done that. I want to see somebody come out and be like, this is great. This is great. Even if it's not, tell me it. Tell me that it's great. Tell me that you're going to fix it. Tell me that you're going to be okay. That's what Razorback fans, I think, need now more than ever, is just somebody, especially in that particular role, to walk out and be like, we got this, everybody. Relax. We're going to be just fine. I hope he does that. But I guess we're going to find out today. Should be very interesting. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the Locked On Razorbacks podcast, wherever podcasts are found. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel. Tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day, everybody. See you then.